You ready to go?
Yep.
All right, the May 8th, 28th meeting of the Wright County Board of Adjustment be called to order.
And first items, minutes from May 7th.
Okay, minutes from May 7th.
Make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, Barry.
Call in the first item.
I got a blank there, must have been all our medication they gave me yesterday.
Yeah. So you got them first, huh?
Right up front.
Okay.
Give your names to Terry, please.
We're John and Teresa Whitstein.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item was continued from the April 9th meeting for revisions to the plan. If the board recalls, this was for a accessory structure on a back lot, not meeting lake and road setbacks. The original request has been reduced, let's see, from 36 by 36 to 28 by 32, so 896 square feet, which is still 96 square feet above the total maximum, or the single structure maximum allowed. The sidewall height was reduced to 12 feet, which is the sidewall height requirement, and so that is now being met. Just one moment, my phone is not on. There. I heard a ding, so I muted my phone. And so the sidewall height variance is no longer needed. With the change in size, there is a bit of adjustment to the lake and road setback. And kind of the plans we got included two options. Both are 28 by 32 with the 12-foot sidewall. One is to run it with the long side running north and south, which reduces the lake setback or doesn't get the full benefit of the lake setback. So there's a 4-foot difference in the lake setback, road setback, or the right-of-way setback would be the same, 10 feet. But if it's run 28 along the road, 32 deep, then that reduces the lake setback by 4 feet. If it's, the second option is 28 by 32 running 32 parallel with the road, which is another 4-foot improvement to the road setback. That arrangement, let me see here, would then also move the garage doors to be entering in from the side versus entering in from the roadside. If I'm not mistaken.
No,
No, you just changed the doors to be,
yeah, we decided that we could, I guess we talked it over and I did some measuring, decided the 32 by 28 foot option with the 32 feet being the parallel to the road is the best way I would describe it. And then we would, that would change the setback from the, I scratched it on this piece of paper here.
Setback would be 12 feet.
12 feet instead of 10 feet from road right away, which would be 45 feet instead of 40 feet from center line of road. And then the lake setback would be 34.5, or lake, ordinary high water, I should say, 34.5 feet. I think the option we'd actually prefer would be the one where the lengthway is with the road, that reduced, that, I think you guys prefer that too,
Be
because,
32 facing the road and then 20.
Road.
yeah, deep. And,
in both cases, the dwelling, or the accessory structure is still within the shore impact zone, based on that OHW reading. So that's what we have.
You had that it exceeds 15% of lot coverage, but the new structure wouldn't according to my
Correct.
calculations.
Correct.
Okay, so I
Yep.
scratched that line out. I just wrote in the changes.
Well, yeah, we didn't re-notify. That is still the official notice is what you originally requested.
Okay.
If the board denies it, they're going to deny the original request.
Okay,
The revisions, if they approve, then they'll approve based on the revision.
okay. So I hope you understood what we're talking about here. Does that make sense, what we talked about, or was it, should I go kind of show you a picture of it or something, or?
I have it up on the screen.
Okay. Yeah, there's, what I kind of scribbled together, so picture to the left would be facing the road, and that would be 32 feet across. And then the picture to the right is a side view, 28 feet across.
Deep, yeah.
Deep, I guess you call it. And then, of course, the sidewalls are now 12 feet instead of what we asked for originally, 14 feet. Lots.
Okay. All right. Hey, Bob, we'll start with you.
Well, like last time we talked about that you have the unfortunate part of having the lake come so close into your property. So that's still kind of a problem. I would prefer that the 32 feet run parallel to the road.
That's what it is. The
Yeah,
32 feet runs
that's what we put
parallel
up
to the
there,
road.
yeah.
And
Okay.
the 28 feet is the deep.
Yeah,
Okay.
where the garage doors where you saw that image, that's the 32 feet facing the road.
Okay.
If we tried to have a side entrance, it would be really disruptive because you'd have to build a driveway and all that. It would be, I think it would be
We'd have to take down the
undesirable
landmark
for all
trees.
parties.
It looks like you've taken into consideration some of the things that we had asked for before.
Yeah,
It's still, kind of a sandwiched in there, but being that you have revised your plan, I guess it's not necessarily what I'd like, but it's something I probably can live with.
Ed?
That way.
I'm still on some of the same lines that I was on last time. I think we're too close to the lake. You're looking at a small piece of property with setbacks. I know on the previous, the neighbors, I was the one that suggested to get a little closer to the lake, but that's at 54 feet, where this one is looking at 28 to 30 feet. I mean, that's still 20 feet difference from the late setback or the variance. I think it's, for what's there, it's just too much. And then when you face the shed towards the road, there's no place to park. And this board in the past has always had issues with parking, within the right of way or onto the road. 10 feet isn't very much to be parking full-size pickups or anything like that. And I guess, I see your need and I see what you're trying to do. I understand that. But in the past, I guess I personally haven't went along with that close to the lake and to the road.
Right.
I make a comment? The
Yes.
idea of the building is so we aren't parking there. They void that, so the equipment is in a building out of sight, it's.
Right.
I find that unattractive when you see a lot of vehicles parked in yards or along the road. There's a bunch of it in our neighborhood, I know that, but I don't especially like that, and that's the whole idea of this, is to get stuff out of sight, to have an attractive building there that's environmentally blends in with the environment. How do you say that?
Yeah.
Whatever wording I need for that. And with the minimum of disruption to the wooded area. And that's what the location of it and everything accomplishes that. There's nothing obviously, if you take a drive through any of the lake area there, there's nothing without a building that prevents people from parking along the road. Matter of fact, without places to put the vehicles, it encourages it. But anyway, that's just a comment.
But you have to see where we're coming from. We don't necessarily look at that. We are more concerned with shore to the building. We're looking at the environmental impact that would cause, not rain on your equipment. So that's basically what you have to start thinking about a little bit. I think we said the last time that what we do here may affect 100 people in this township or in this county, because you could do it, now we want to do it. So we have to fight that battle again all over, trying to be fair to all of our constituents. So if we allow you to do something, then there's a very, very strong sense that this would be allowed everywhere in the county. So again, like I said, we are concerned with the environment, with the U.S. rules on lakeshore and waterways, and environmental impact. So I'm basically concerned about the situation from that standpoint, and I don't look at it very favorably.
Well, that's what our intention is to make, I don't know if I'm using the right terms, like the driveway would be not, you use the term impervious, meaning paved. I use the term pervious. It's going to be a driveway where the water goes through it, not off of it.
And also the guy
I've
that,
seen environmental areas that do things like that. They even put signs up advertising. What were you?
For our ordinance, all driving and parking surfaces are considered an impervious surface. It doesn't matter how they're designed. That's actually our definition, is all driving and parking surfaces. We do allow permeable systems for pavers or for walkways and patios, but anything that's driven or parked on it's looked at as an impervious surface, because stuff leaks off of vehicles, and if those types of systems aren't properly maintained, they plug, and then they become concrete. That's what they become. And we don't have the staff or the program set up to keep people on a normal maintenance schedule. And so for us, we elected not to include a permeable system as a reduction in the impervious surface coverage for driving and parking areas. So for us, any driving and parking area is considered an impervious surface at this time.
Dan?
Okay. I'm a little mixed up now because I know the last time we spoke, you guys wanted to go like 40 feet deep, I believe it was.
36.
Yeah, to get your pontoon.
36 was original, yeah.
So the way you're doing it now, we wouldn't even get the pontoon in there. would
well,
we?
what we
28?
talked about was, right now we have a bunk style trailer, and we thought we would probably sell that and go with the scissors type, so that we would take the pontoon off the trailer so that it could be parked in the building, and we would need less space then. And we spent some time measuring and talking about it also, that you could, if we didn't take it off the trailer, we could adjust the hitch or take the end of it off so that we could close the door. Another option, of course, is to have a little garage door for the hitch in the garage door. It had to stick out a little bit. We're not fond of that because it's kind of a hazard. But those are the options we talked about, selling the trailer and getting, or even using like the neighbor's scissors trailer. Several of them in the neighborhood use a common trailer.
Sure.
And do it that way. We've watched them, how they put it in. They have a special platform on wheels that they lower it down onto 4 little things, and then they uncle and get together and push it into position.
Okay.
So that was, we figured we could adjust to something like that to try and make it workable.
Well, I was happy to see the reduction in size, trying to work with us and stuff. However, Dan brought up a very good point last meeting, and it stuck to me because I have been particular too on that side entrance so that you're not parking into the road right away. And that would be a big concern. Everything else looks like you're trying to do what we asked, but I think a few trees would be necessary. I don't know what the rest of the board would be willing to go, but I'd be willing to go more 5 feet off that line and push it to the road, but come in the other side to give us, stay away from the lake. So I would think we need that entrance going, coming in so nobody parks there and out into the right of way.
What would keep,
Because we do stick on that on everybody, and I didn't even think of that last time, I'm sorry, but that is kind of a,
wouldn't that create more driveway then if,
It
we'd have to
would
take
make
down more
driveway,
trees?
yeah.
It would actually produce more driveway, and I kind of think if we're closer to the road, we're not gonna have people parking there.
I believe you
because-
guys won't, but someday you'll sell, and then the next guy, well, you had the driveway right there, I'm parking there. and
Next people move in, it's a young family with 3 kids and they got 3 teenagers driving.
Yeah,
Well, all of a sudden they're parking on the other side of the road because they don't want to plug up the driveway, that type of thing. That's why we look at it from, we don't look at it just as it's the property and how the structure fits.
Right.
Or, the structure's overall impact, not just, because we get that a lot, well, we don't intend to use it that way. Yeah, but we've seen it where, 2 years later they sell and all of a sudden what wasn't going to be now is. So those are the types of things that the board must also look at. They have to look beyond just what your use is, it's what is the potential use of the structure by anybody.
That's, what you described is true of any structure anywhere, though.
Oh, sure.
Understand?
Sure, but anytime you get,
Control over what. the
anytime you get a
character is.
garage,
very true.
Any building anywhere.
but anytime you get a garage or an accessory structures with the doors facing the way they are, that invites parking in front of those doors.
And like you said, that does include any structure built in the county. But you're unique in the situation, you're here asking for a variance from the ordinance for setbacks from the roads. So you're in a different situation. You don't have a 40 acres to go build a shed on and do it however you want. You're coming here and asking for a variance to build it too close to the road, much too close to the lake. And we have to think about, we were on a site inspection on a different county thing this week, and we got hit with, a few years ago, you let this go through, why did you let this go through, and why did you let that? Everything is unique, but at the same token, we have to somewhat stay by the ordinance as close as we can.
Right.
And as far as late setback, on this board, I've been here several years, and I don't know that I've ever given a variance much closer than 50 feet to a lake. 10 feet off the road right away for parking, I'm not saying we've not done it, but it's not been very often if we have. I mean, that I've been part of a vote. So those are a couple of real hard things for me to accept here on this particular application.
So if we, I'm not trying to be facetious here, but if we put the building 12 feet back, which is what we're proposing at this point, back from the
Right away.
right
From
away.
the road, it's
So
much
now
farther.
it's, what was it, 40?
The right away is.
45 feet from the center of the road is how far it would be back. If we put that driveway the other direction, what's gonna prevent people in the future from parking more vehicles in there? It's still
They
gonna
just
come
wouldn't be
out
in
to
the right of
road.
way.
The driveway's still gonna come out to the road, so what's gonna stop, future people from parking in the driveway right there next to the road? I just don't understand how moving it to the side is, this driveway still is coming out to the road, it's still gonna be the same width. What's gonna stop a future person from parking in the driveway there instead of pulling all the way to the garage? I'm not understanding how, we can't control that,
Right.
and putting it this way and putting it the other direction, that driveway's still coming out to the road. Somebody could still park.
Is there an ordinance against parking in a driveway? Because if there is, you drive around, it's all over the place.
Not that I know of.
It's just a
I-
question for how can.
The right of way.
The right of, what we're trying to do is avoid parking in the right of way overnight. And, parking in your driveway, everybody can park in your driveway. But it's a matter of parking within the right of way. We have setbacks from the right of way.
I'm just saying, if we put the garage doors on the other end and the driveway curves and goes out, what's gonna stop a future person from parking in the out part over there versus the out part here?
They're less apt to, they're more apt to park by the garage doors, because that's your drive into your garage, you park in front of your garage. It's just, I'd say more apt to, and for us, for me, I guess,
You use, by the way,
I'm okay with the size, and I think it's 100 square feet roughly larger than what the ordinance. It's just, for me, it's all about the entrance. So, I mean, I'd be okay if you guys want to swing that in there. Driveway, I'd be in favor of it. Move it as tight up to the line, away from the lake as possible. 10 feet instead of 12, and 10 feet from the lot line.
So
Swing your
move it
driveway in.
forward 10 feet, I mean, 2 feet more than, closer to the road than what we have, but
Drive
coming
in.
from the side.
Yeah. And I think you'd have a better project there too overall that way. It can turn out, but that's just me. I don't know what the rest of the board wants, but I'd be okay. I'm glad you downsized it to within reason, I feel. It's just the parking issue will be an issue. If you're parked 2 cars, one in front of the other, the way this is set up, and they come by and plow snow and damage your vehicle, I don't know. Is that something we okay that cars are parked there, or they move the road later?
Okay,
Widen it,
I'm just
whatever.
trying to picture how it's gonna work. So it's gonna be then, are we turning the whole structure or leaving the structure 3228?
We're not supposed to design it, right?
I know.
Well, in this case, it's
I can
which
give her my-
way the wall runs, the 32-foot wall length runs is part of placement. It's not design and structure. Structure's designed.
Okay.
24 by 32, if you're fine with the size, it's about orientation of the structure.
Okay.
And so if you want to say orientation, 32-foot side must run parallel with the road, with the garage door facing either east or west, that gives the ability to move it either side of the lot.
Okay.
Just basically prohibiting it from facing the road right of way.
Yeah,
So you're saying, okay, it must be oriented with the 32 parallel, that's what I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
32-foot side parallel, that means
Yep.
it's 28 feet deep from road to lake,
yep,
which helps the lake setback. Then 10 feet from the right of way, 10 feet from the property line.
Yep.
Now, for me, if they say, well, now we want to, instead of here, we want to put it to the other corner based on the setbacks, I got no issue. They can move it to the other side of the lot if they want to.
okay. Isn't
No,
that
I'm not saying
kinda
you
close
need to
the
do
lake,
that, it
though?
just gives you that
I
option.
guess
If
it'd be about the same.
you know,
the lake.
because you're setting the parameters of,
Yeah.
okay, the doors must run on this end, and the building must be oriented this way.
Yeah,
And then the setbacks are basically around the entire thing. That gives them the option to slide it a little bit.
does that push it away from the lake a little bit more by moving it up to that side of the?
I think it would be a little bit, I don't think it's not excessive, it's not a lot, it's a
Yeah.
few feet, you know. Just based on the OHW line that they have drawn in here, the way that the lot line runs a little bit at an angle, and the OHW runs at not quite as sharp of an angle, so there's just a little bit of improvement as you go into that northeast corner of the lot, but it's minimal. It's not, I don't think in this case, from what I've heard, it's necessarily this complete deal breaker, but it would improve it, but not a significant amount.
Plus the 2 feet, and I think it'd be pushing as best as we can on that property. So what Barry's suggesting is the building up in that upper corner.
I'm not suggesting,
No,
I'm
no,
just
no, just
paraphrasing what you said.
Okay.
I just want to be clear on
And the driveway's staying
that.
pretty much where it is, but just come in and swing into your building.
Well, the reason why we put it in that spot, and I think I mentioned it last time, is there's abandoned septic tanks underneath there and trees aren't gonna grow. The other part is when we looked at it, I've got garden over on the other side, you know,
Yeah,
and
that's a
cherry tree and
beautiful part of
apple
the
tree.
neighborhood that we'd have to destroy. I don't think anybody in the neighborhood would be happy about that. You know, it's beautiful pine trees and deciduous trees, and there's a raspberry garden in there.
I kinda wanna cover up the old septic tank too, this is my
Yeah.
personal thought, so.
I guess that's all I got to say though is.
No, I'm gonna walk up by the map,
Okay.
just to point something out here. Because they keep bringing up this ordinary high water line, which to me is, which I think they're showing us right here. Real lake, or what school teachers used to, the real navigable part of the lake is way down here, and it's barely navigable. This is where the water is. You go there right now, the water is here. You can walk up in here. It's just grass or reeds in here. I even tried having a little garden in there at one time, grew some pumpkins one year. But, and I don't know how they came up with that as a ordinary high water line, because the runoff elevation for the lake is lower than that. You know, there's an islet on on the opposite side of the lake from us that's designed to run the water off when it reaches, I don't know, it's below the high water line significantly though. So, yeah, there you can see it right there. I don't know.
I don't see all the big pine trees up in that upper corner. They're more, it looks like in the,
Well, the ones toward the road there, but the building, it looks like it's more vegetated than it is. It's just brush is what it is. But when they put the septic tanks in, I forgot what they said they had. It was before we bought the house. It was part of the deal when we bought the house, actually. They had to put in a temporary holding tanks until the sewer went in. But they had to tear out, I forget how many trees just to do that, I guess. So it looks like it's wooded, but it really isn't in there. No big trees anyway, it's small stuff. It's just brush that's growing up.
Anyhow, so,
And the pines up on the right of way, I'm gonna try to preserve those as much as possible. There's a couple of scrubby ones there that we'd probably get out of the way for the driveway. Maybe we could get by with just one. Yeah, the driveway would be, if you remember, that would go roughly through where that building is there.
well, I guess,
That's the current
for me,
shed.
I think we need to swing it inside, and parking on the road right away would not work for me.
I guess make a motion and see where it goes.
Okay,
Ocean Man isn't here, so you guys gotta figure
I
it out.
know.
Can't help you with this one.
Dan?
what am I, the motion man today?
You're
I'm
the
in his
motion on this
chair, ain't
one.
I?
Yep.
Is that a motion to disapprove of
No,
drawing?
what you would do is approve a revised request.
Okay, I'm not willing to make that motion. Approve it.
You want me to summarize? If you want to make the motion.
No, I don't want to make a motion. I'm not, unless the driveway were to be changed, I'm not really in favor of this drawing. This,
Well, but there again,
Put
you
that into your motion
you
the
put
way you
that,
want
you
it.
put that in your motion
okay,
Put it into the motion the way,
Right.
what
Okay.
you've been discussing and what you're willing.
okay.
to approve.
that.
Put it in
Make
the
it-
motion. Yep.
We'll go
Yep.
from there.
I'll make a motion to approve a 10-foot setback off of the road right away and a 10-foot setback off of the side lots with a a driveway running parallel with the road, as drawn.
So it'd be a 28 by 32,
Yep, shed with a 12-foot
12-foot sidewall.
sidewalls with the revised plan. They can vary that up or down, however they want, but the road has to come in running with the,
With the
road.
condition that the door entrances must be either on the northeast or southwest side of the structure. That's kind of,
so moved.
it kind of runs a little bit northeast and
Yeah, that's why it's
southwest.
hard to
So
say,
not
north.
straight north or south or east or west, it's kind of, so the doors must not face the road right of way.
There you go.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved in second.
One further discussion, that would make the lake setback approximately 34 and a half feet.
4.5.
Okay, all in favor?
Dan Vick, aye.
Don Jones, nay.
Dan Mall, no.
Bob Newman, aye.
Council?
Oh, we have a tie vote. We need to figure out what we want to do. Either we can
So-
continue it, Mr. Chair, or come up with another motion.
So it either have to get continued, or we need another motion.
Would you be willing to continue it till there's a full council?
Or
Stuff
the,
yet,
the,
too.
the members that voted for are obviously in favor or would be willing to approve this pen. The ones that aren't, what would your preferences be? Or what is your thoughts on, I shouldn't say preferences, but what are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts as far as the disapproval is what I've been saying, is we're too close to the water. We're at 34 feet. I don't know that on my voting on this board that I've voted for anything that close to the water. As far as turning the building and stuff, I can go along with that because it keeps it off the road right away. But my hang up is still just, there's not enough room for this size and type of a building, especially this type of a building that close to the water. And I guess that's where I struggle. I really am.
I look at it, Dan, as if it was habitable, I'd be a little different too, but being it's a garage, it's kind of a outlot, is why I was kind of thinking, makes the property pretty much useless.
But we're still looking at water runoff. You know, you're still looking at, we haven't really talked anything about any type of, how do we maintain all the water runoff? We didn't put gutters on it. I mean, there's just so many things. It's close to the lake,
Right.
So what kind of setback would you want to see?
At the neighbors, I mean, I think I made this statement in the minutes that, I was willing to get it off of the road further, meaning closer to the lake, but then we were at like 55 or
54?
54, and I says, I won't allow any closer. And now we're at 34, we're 20 feet closer, so that's
With-
a lot.
About the best I can get, or I can see based on this drawing. 10 feet.
It's just got that weird swing in that lake that gets the corner of it, but
Right,
yeah,
but it's there.
yeah, it is.
With this lot situation, you're looking at something 16 feet wide for a garage to meet a 54. Because the way the OHW dips up into this property, that is, just what it is.
But it's still big enough to put a building on.
Yeah.
So it's not unbuildable or anything like that. We're not deeming it unbuildable. It just takes for a very small building. It's not big enough, granted, for pontoon, but it is still big enough for storage, for lawnmowers. We're not saying it's not buildable.
Right.
I mean,
Is there any kind of like a rain garden or anything that would appease either of you, some way of controlling the runoff that, if they were to do that?
Well, we're still bound by the fact that, what's coming up after this, or
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
were to move. I agree with Dan. I mean, the distance to the lake is not acceptable.
So, I have that hesitation due to it too, but I do think they've tried, and I think it's almost a hardship of a 16-foot wide building would not be,
but it's not a hardship to store your pontoon boat.
no.
I mean, there is storage places, there are places you can bring it off property. Again, we've gone through this before. Some of these lots and stuff were designed way before ordinance, and they weren't built or designed big enough for what people want today. And that's the difficult we have. And, you drive down into some of these lake areas, and what's beautiful to one person isn't beautiful to the next, and you start lining up these great big sheds, all of a sudden now you're looking at, we're supposed to also look at the area and, does it fit? And as you keep putting more and more of these great big pole sheds back in behind these lakes, I mean, they even said they have their garden and it's this pristine look. Now you put a great big pole shed here or on the neighbors or the next 3 neighbors, it takes it away.
They're already there.
I know,
They're
but they
already
have
there.
more
Pole
setbacks.
sheds are- or not necessarily pole sheds, but one of them is.
If they were to push that
Would it,
far to the north up there, north, is that the east side?
Yes.
Northeast corner, and put a diverting wall to keep all the water running to the far side of the overhead water. You know, something to push that water there, it's got a long ways to go, then you're way well set off.
Well, and what I will say is this area is at least somewhat set up to accept water. That's why there's cattails there. The cattails is one of the best natural filters of water you're ever gonna get. And so, as far as the runoff, the additional structure and roof here wouldn't have the same impact as you would if this was a manicured lawn like we deal with the houses, where it's running down a manicured lawn right into the lake. There's nothing there to filter, slow it down. You know, Kentucky bluegrass is not a good deep-rooted grass, so it's pretty much, it just rolls down the hill until it hits the lake. In this case, there is natural vegetation occurring in this area that reduces that issue. You know, and that was one of the things that was looked at with the neighbor, is that, well, this isn't a primary navigable portion of the lake. It is a backwater area. Is it lake? Yes, by definition, that ordinary high water mark wraps around this peninsula, and the cattails are there because no wind and no waves can affect it, because of how where it's kind of tucked in. That's why it's cattaily and marshy, and because they can sustain themselves there. You get onto a main body of a lake, they can't sustain themselves because too much wind, too much wave, you know, they just can't stay rooted. Here, they can stay rooted. But it is still part of the lake. Measuring that eastern side of the lot, the northeastern side of the lot, that's where I get 80 feet from road right-of-way to where the ordinary high water mark is. So when I do the calculations, okay, minus 10 for the road right-of-way, minus the width of the building, you know, and then that's what your lake setback is gonna be. Now, any one of those numbers can change, and that'll affect one or the other. But that is what is there. It's 80 feet from right-of-way to OHW, and that stays fairly consistent. Right where the building is, there's a little, by survey, there's a little, kind of a pimple where the OHW comes in deeper into the lot, and that's what this setback from the proposal is measured at. And that's only 60, maybe 67 feet from OHW to right-of-way. So that's 13 feet difference between where it's proposed in that other side of the lot.
Okay.
So there again, I'm just giving just sheer numbers. That's what it is. And so I'm not saying it should go there or shouldn't go there. I'm not suggesting you approve or not approve any specific motion. This is just what you have to work with. This is what the lot has to work with. And so it's up to you on what you're willing to do.
If I amended that motion to, all runoff to go to the west side, the long side, you got 170 feet to the ordinary high water mark, right?
No, it's one side is,
From the lot side. This side's 170 feet.
no. The ordinary high water mark is closer. That's not the
58
OHW. The OHW it's a dash, 2 dots, and a dash. That's where the ordinary high water mark is.
Okay.
Dan,
58 feet.
it's here.
Yep. 50 feet off of that 172, right? So it's 120.
Actually, like I say, I just measured, well, down the property line, it's maybe 87 feet to the OHW from right-of-way, right on the property line. But with the angles, it gets to 69 feet in 10 feet, 15 feet. Make it 20.
Bob?
Mr. Chairman, a vote has been taken, and it's, they failed to meet a majority. You can check with council, but if you fail to meet a majority, the motion fails.
Right.
Yes. So that motion fails. And so the board can still make another motion and revise it and rehear it.
I guess,
Well, the question would be, are they willing to make some, to them, fairly drastic changes in the size of that building and placement.
Well, I mean, we've been through a revision once. I would like to have, I would like the board to give them a little bit better parameters, because I don't know exactly what the board's thinking. I mean, I have one member saying, well, 54 feet. I got another one saying, well, the 34 was good. And so, well, what revisions are we gonna get? At this point, we're talking about the setback, which then affects the size, you know? Overall, the size in and of itself isn't the issue. It's the size that's driving the setback that appears to be more the issue than the size just itself. It's more about the width than it is anything else, because that's what is affecting the setback. It's the width of the structure. And so I wouldn't be comfortable with the continuation for revisions, just because, well, I don't even know what to tell them. And I don't know what, I don't know if they know where to go from here. And so a little bit clearer direction, that's what I was looking for, is, well, what would the two members that were nay, what are you looking at from a setback standpoint, from a width standpoint? That's why I gave you the numbers. Well, this is what we have. This is what the lot has to work with. And if you want to say, you know, a structure that is within this parameter and this parameter.
If for me, if we can get a structure to be 54 feet from ordinary high water mark and the 10 feet off the road, like we've talked, you know, and those things, I can go along with it. But I mean, I basically set that parameter on myself last time when I voted against the other one, because I was the one that came up in that discussion and suggested moving it the way it was moved. And I don't have the minutes in front of me, but I'm just about sure I made that comment that, you know, this is the closest I'll let anything go. And I thought I made the comment into the neighbors, you know, well, let your neighbors know this is what, you know, this is what they have to work with. I remember those conversations up here at the board, and I guess I want to stay true to what I have said.
I honor you for that. I just say never.
No, I'm not saying never. I'm not saying,
I
but
know.
I'm just saying that was in that conversation. And, you know, you look at your water. I mean, we're about 4 to 6 feet looking at, and it does run towards the lake. It's not like it's running towards the road and it's getting culverted off to the side or anything like that. We are 34 feet and it runs straight to the lake. So that's where I'm at. But if it was at 54 feet, like the other one, it's another 20 feet of filtration.
Mr. Chairman?
I agree with Dan's assessment, even though I voted yay for the previous similarities to this particular thing last week or the week before. Yeah, this is just way too close for me.
We're at 34 now, and he wants 54. That would leave like 8 foot wide.
Yeah, in this spot, there again, it gets better on the other side, so it's not impossible to get wider than that, but it's all about exact structure location and width. So, I mean, at this point, council, correct me if I'm wrong, at this point, it's, I mean, where does it go?
At this point, Mr. Chair and Barry, it looks like, I don't know if the board's slated for denial, but if you are, then you need to refer to me for findings.
Which would be a split vote, potentially.
Potentially. And there's a provision in 1599 that we never use, that when there's a motion for an approval and it fails on a tie, it counts as an automatic denial and no findings are needed. Now, we've never applied that provision under 1599, I think just out of fairness to applicants, but if we truly are at a deadlock, we might have to apply that provision then under 1599.
So then the option would be to continue, that would be another option then?
Yes, Barry. We've always tried to give the applicants a full and fair vote and not apply that.
Right, and so
and continue it out if we have to till we get more board members.
I will make a
But-
motion to continue to the June 18th meeting until we can have a full board, or at least a different board.
I'll second that.
Just,
Do we have enough time
yes,
for the applicant?
yes, we have time.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Dan, VI.
John, I.
Dan Mall, aye.
Bob, aye.
So, can I, so what you're trying to say, if we move the building to the east on the lumber, kind of, or east northeast, I guess, that direction, gives us more room and that would be more acceptable?
Well, as of right now, because the motion that was on the floor is denied, the two options are they either keep that motion, which is an automatic denial of your request, and you would have to reapply for anything different. Or, which the action they took is to continue it, which means you'll come back on the 18th, the full board hopefully will be here, and so then there's not knowing what the fifth member will do, the options are still the same. It could be denied, it could be approved with some conditions or modified again. I mean, right now, it's kind of a holding pattern. We're gonna keep what we got with the revisions and everything else, and you just come back for more discussion at the next meeting. Otherwise, if we didn't do that, then it's by statute, it's automatically denied because it was a split
I
vote.
just want to come back with a plan that looks like it's got some possibility here, is what I'm trying to, that's going to work with us too.
But that's one of
I'm
the,
trying to picture what, it sounds
Mr.
like you
Chair.
want us to move it to the east because there's.
I think we gotta move on.
actually,
Mr. Chair,
what we'll
Mr.
have to
Chair,
do is you'll
I-
have to give me a call.
Mr. Chair, I think this is a discussion that could be had with staff off the record.
Yep, we just took care of that, Greg.
Is this
Thank
the
you.
other board member that I hear?
No,
The attorney.
that's our attorney.
Oh, okay.
He advises us on matters like this because I don't know
Okay.
the statutes on how they must proceed. And so that's what
We're coming back June
18th.
18th.
Yep.
I need to have a different plan.
Not necessarily,
Just come back to where we
just
were.
come back.
There'll be more discussion.
Yep,
Okay. And this was a split vote, is that what I understood?
Yeah.
So it depends on what the other member says?
Yep.
Okay.
And if there's some revisement from the board or from you,
Okay. And the split vote that you had was on the plan that we had today, is that what I understood?
with some revisions, yep.
With the doors facing the road? Okay. So,
Facing away from the road.
The motion was that they face away from the road.
Right, that's the motion you made, that you face away from the road to the east or
Okay.
west, whichever.
And why don't you just call into staff if you have
I'll
questions,
to
talk to
the-
Barry.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
whistle while you work.
As soon as he
Soon as
cleans
he
up.
gets done.
As soon as he gets done cleaning up.
Okay.
Nice and usable. Give your name to Terry, please.
Austin Pedig.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a approximately 5-acre lot that's above OHW, as you can see from this map. The legal description goes into the OHW. A lot of times we see that with older lots, you know, and meandering of lakes. And the proposal is for a number of additions to the existing structure, including a new 16 by 31.5 bedroom addition. On the east side of the structure, 5.5 by 24 foot one level addition over a basement. 7 by 27.5 and 6 by 24 additions to the attached garage and a 3 by 10 covered porch addition. That would be to the roadside, or, sorry, to the side and roadside of the dwelling. The existing structure is 82.5 feet from the ordinary high water mark. The proposed additions are all in line with the structure, nothing moving any closer to the ordinary high water mark than what already exists. I really don't have a whole lot more to add, just running through the plans that we have for it. It's currently, it's got a basement. This will, like I say, this will be one level over a basement for the living space portion and just the one level for the garage portion. The existing house location with the topography as well. It's not as saved. I added in the photos, but I don't see them. So give me just one moment, Mr. Chairman. I will bring up some photos, but, you know, if the applicant has anything more to add, he can certainly do that while I'm taking care of this portion.
Okay, Austin, you have anything else that you would like to?
No, it's pretty much as you see it.
Okay,
There's quite an elevation height change from the existing basement floor, which is a walkout to the high water mark. I did try to keep all the roof lines tight and low. I used a small pitch so it wasn't up out of the air too high. Big
So
gables or anything.
the primary living space addition, this is the roadside view. So if you were to look through the house, the lake's on the other side. The primary roadside, the primary living space addition's on the left-hand side. And like I said, it would be in line or roughly in line with the existing structure. The deck is the furthest projection and it will remain the furthest projection. So the addition is in line with that existing lakeside wall, not the deck.
2-foot setback too.
Yeah, it actually is jogged back just a bit.
okay. All right, Dan.
Mr. Chairman, I will note that the township has approved, and we do not have any members from the public joining virtually, so I will not be referencing the virtual portion of the meeting.
Looking at this, there's a lot going on here and a lot of additions and different things. My thought was, do we want a site inspection? Go out there and look.
Yeah, with what I know from what we're reading here, I mean, we're adding significant square footage to a non-conforming building already. And that's a big question in my mind, so
You know,
think
with
it
a
would
with a
be-
bigger lot, I mean, I'm not saying
Right.
I'm against or for,
Right.
you know, either way. But is it something we should go look at? Because it is a significant increase in an addition in a large lot, you know? That's my thought, to start with. I mean, if nobody else wants to do that, then that's fine too, and we'll continue, we'll go forward, but that's.
Okay, I just had one thing to add. Is there a stormwater management system there now? Are we running a lot of water towards the lake?
No,
No. This won't change that at all?
no, this won't affect the drainage.
Is it 1,000 square foot of roof? I was just thinking maybe that'll be something we should consider.
Everything pretty much naturally goes towards the lake already, so.
Yeah.
I guess I agree with this, Dan, that I would like to see this, and coming on site does sometimes change our decisions. But from what I see on paper, I would agree with Dan that we should take a look at this in person.
Okay.
I think so too.
We need a motion for that, Barry?
Of course.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to continue this until the June 8th or 18th?
18th.
June 18th meeting, and to schedule a site inspection.
Second?
I'll second.
You second. All right.
Okay.
Moved and seconded.
Yep.
For a roll call?
Roll.
Dan V, aye.
John, aye.
Dan Mall, aye.
Bob, aye.
All right, well, so we'll set a site inspection date and then we'll let you know. And then we'll come out to the site that date and then just reconvene here again on the 18th.
Okay.
Austin?
All set then?
Yep, you're all set for today.
Thanks.
I'll get the table, Terry.
I just don't see, the thing is non-conforming now, all that other crap.
Yeah, but when you go out and say anyone
why let's
for
go
this
look at it.
request, I think.
Yeah, but from his point of view, why the hell did he
No,
look at the lot?
I'm doubt
He
there's
had
gonna
all
be
this
anybody,
in
but
mind before he bought the house. That's what amazes me about a lot of these, it just,
So, huh?
yeah.
it surprised me a little bit there. Just keep me on my toes, Dan.
Yeah, yeah, just to wake you up over there, Barry.
I need it, I'm tired. Hey, hockey games, Russ.
Hockey games.
That's what we were just talking about.
We were talking high school hockey. Which one are you talking about?
Oh, the Wild.
The Wild, yeah, that was.
You run so dang late, I'm tired. Can't catch up on my sleep.
My son moved out, so we don't watch hockey much anymore.
Okay, give your names to Terry, please.
Jack and Diane Brewer. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the property is approximately 30,000 square foot lot on Rock Lake. The request is to convert an existing deck into an addition and an existing three-season porch into a bathroom. The addition is 8 by 14.33. That should have been a dot, not a. And it's no closer to the lake than the existing sunroom, 65.1 feet from the ordinary high water mark. This is a recreational development lake that requires a 100-foot setback. The sunroom was approved by the board, and it's 17 by 20. It was approved by the board in 2006. I do have aerial and survey of the property showing where everything sits. And actually, the 65.1 is to the deck of that porch. The actual addition portion will be 72.5 feet, where there is an existing deck now. In fact, it'll be just a little bit smaller than the existing deck in width, same length. The existing porch that was approved in 2006 was approved at 2.9 feet from the side property line. That setback isn't changing, but that porch is going from 3-season to now what's 4-season living space. Excuse me. So it's still going to remain in place, but it's a bit of a change in use. So, like I say, I do have plans showing what is being proposed, and the township has indicated they approve.
And the township approval, I noticed in reading that material that you have a handicap.
Yes, it's
individual.
just, that's what this is for. Our son is handicapped, and we only have a half bath on the main floor.
Okay,
And no bedroom on the main floor. He had hip surgery prior to us moving in, and he was supposed to get better and didn't, so,
So we basically now, when he has to be bathed, we have to carry him upstairs
yeah.
and carry him down. And he's 18.
sorry to hear that.
Okay, we'll keep working on him.
Well, yeah. All right, where are we at? Dan?
That way.
Picking on you first.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking it over, I guess you're moving no closer to the lake. I did see that too, what John made a note of, sorry for your handicap, son. And, I
He's
guess,
fine.
It's a handicap opportunity.
yeah, well, I don't see any huge issue with, for me then. I'm okay.
Okay. Bob?
Maybe you should explain to the board, like you did at Albion Township, why you're 2.9 feet from the sideline.
I'll let you take that one.
So the house was built originally in 1885, and the owner parceled off his land and built next door and whatnot. Our existing house, they thought would get torn down, and it never did. So the new owners came in and fixed it. And so it's right on the property line. But yeah, they thought that it would, when they rebuilt, that it would go over and back more toward the road, further from the lake, but still standing from its original structure, so. So that's why we are right on the property line.
Okay.
That's before we fix the gutters.
And they maybe have, this is kind of redundant for me, but they, at the town board, they, kind of like Dan was saying, they're just kind of removing one piece to add something else that fits their needs, and they're not moving any closer to the lake. And apparently the board in 2006 didn't have any other issues either. So that's why the Elgin board approved, and I guess I would be okay with their revisions as well.
Dan?
Okay. I agree with what the other members are saying, but I also do bring up the question that in 2006, when this was approved from the minutes, it was approved that it would get no closer to the lake and no expanding living space in it. I guess, do you have a picture of the three-season porch portion, Barry?
It's kind of buried in that.
No, I didn't get a chance to get out to the site to get a picture. This is what the assessors took, and this is the only picture that, you can, it's kind of,
See where the railing
Back
is
in through
underneath
there.
that tree? It's
Yep.
back behind
back
that.
behind
That's
there.
actually where it is.
it looks like, it's not a screen porch.
Well, that's what I'm
It-
saying.
it's
Is it
it's
a screen
thr-
porch
no,
or is
no.
it more of
It's
a structure with
three-season-
windows,
it's
three-season unheated?
Structural with windows.
I think the only reason why it is not a four-season is because there's no heating and air going to it, but it's tiled, it's insulated,
It's got full doors, it's got 6-inch walls.
yeah,
Okay.
so it's, structurally, we won't have to change anything in there. We're just going to be bringing heat in and then changing the inside into sheetrock and, you know, something a little bit more, look like a bedroom. But then the deck there, that would be going away. It's already half pulled out. And the bathroom's taking up about 3/4 of it, or maybe 2/3, I don't know, of that existing space. That's where the bathroom would go in. And it's, on the plans, it's showing for a full basement or a full crawl space. But our contractor said that that's not needed. He can just put pillars or whatever,
Yeah.
piles.
Well, that way we got better water management.
Right, so,
Rather than putting in a full crawl space with a sub-basement or whatever. I get it just be a crawl space with footings. Because we're worried about the water drain too. We want to make sure we don't cover any more hard surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, which in this case, even if you did a basement, it doesn't matter. It's, what's above it counts as hard space. So even if you did, even if, I mean, you could do a poured wall, concrete floor with a 4 or 5 foot crawl space, probably 4 here. I'd have to look at the elevations, but the crawl space has to meet elevation requirements. But whatever that is, as long as it's met, you could pour a concrete floor and have 4 feet underneath there if you wanted to. It's not gonna count anymore against your hard surface because what's above it is already counted as the hard surface for that space. It's looked at as top down, and so it doesn't count any extra. Same thing with the addition going off to the side. It's no more hard surface because the deck's already included. You're actually gonna be reducing hard surface by not going the full size of the deck.
Yeah, I believe it'll be 2 to 3 feet inside on the one edge, so about 30 square feet less.
Yep.
Okay.
So, with what they're proposing, you know, we're not getting any closer, we're really not adding anything drastically to the house. I can go along with it, I can see there's a need here for it, so.
And what I will say, in 2006, what we received then was not a survey. It was a site plan. It was drawn fairly close. I just actually took measurements from that and compared it to what the survey reads for, at the time, that closest corner of the house. It's pretty close. My guess is if I would have measured this porch on that old plan, it would measure at about 4 or 5 feet. So by getting the certificate of survey, everything actually did move a little bit closer to that line than what that original site plan showed. So the difference in information that was submitted over the 15 years. So.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve to convert an existing 3-season sunroom into a bedroom and add 8 feet by 14.33 side, addition to the side no closer to the lake than the existing sunroom, which is 65.1 feet from the ordinary high water mark of lake. Existing dwelling is 2.9 feet from the closest corner of a side property line.
Is there a second?
And,
Go ahead.
and along with the motion as plans submitted as Exhibit A. Now you can have a second.
You,
Do we have a second?
a second.
Okay, just a little bit of discussion is, just clarification on the setback, the 65.1 is to the deck, it's 72.5 to the addition.
Okay. Take that as a clarification.
Did you second it?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Dan V, aye.
John, I.
Dan Mall, aye.
Bob, aye.
You got it.
Just submit your plans down to the office when you're ready to make the application. So the building plans still have to get submitted and get reviewed by the building inspectors.
Okay, so we just have our contractor bring that in?
Contractor or you, either one.
We'll have him.
Yep, he can.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
All right,
Thank you.
Please make me get my year.
Appreciate it.
How big is that kid to have to carry him up a full flight of stairs? Holy shit.
18, he's a man.
Yeah? Yeah, for sure.
There you go.
This looks like the favorite part of your job.
Sometimes. That's what I'm working with.
Table doesn't talk now.
Yeah.
Are you Scott?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is the Scott Wald request. The property involved is a 6.19 acre lot, zoned general agriculture in Marysville Township. The request is for a 40 by 64 addition to the existing accessory building, bringing the total accessory structure size to 4,160 square feet. As a 6 acre lot, the maximum is 4,000, and so that is what the variance is for. The property was went through a conditional use permit in 2006 for a church that has been sold a number of times and is right now just used as a storage building. So the only variance we're looking at here is just for that 160 square foot overage of the total maximum. Meets all the setbacks, and the township has approved.
Okay. You have any more to add to that, sir?
No, just, we're originally from Buffalo, me and my wife. We're moving back, so this is our retirement lot. We will be putting a house on there, so it's not just gonna be a storage place in the future. We're waiting for our youngest to graduate, so, or in 9th grade, we'll move. So somewhere in the next 3 to 6 years, we'll be building our home out there too. So, I'm a car guy, so I've got a car collection, motorhome, I drag race a little bit, so I got stuff sitting outside, trailers and that. And the extra 160 square feet is because when I put up, the way the land's set now with the drain for the water and all that, it would put me dead in the middle of a window. So if I move it over to get between the window and the door, that's actually gonna make that structure look bigger. So we go 4 feet extra this way. If I do the 160, I get away from that window, the door, and keep it looking smaller from the road, and that's kind of why I want to do what I want to do. That's why 160, that's just why I need to get to the edge of the building.
But you got 164 now, right?
Yeah, he's asking for 100, or for 64.
I'm asking for,
Oh, 64.
yeah, I'm asking
Yeah.
for the 160 extra
Okay.
square feet.
All right, Dan, I think it's Bob.
Well, it looks, like you have a lot of space. I just kind of wonder if you've already explained why you would go through this process just for an extra 160 square feet. it doesn't seem like, it's an unreasonable request. I just don't know if there's really a hardship for it. I guess he's got plenty of space, and this, what this board's for is to make changes or to see if it makes sense. And I guess, you know, there's no other setback issues. I guess I'm willing to go with an extra 160 square feet.
And if you, like, part of the reason I don't wanna go that extra 4 feet too is when they did that church, they've added some ground. So I've got kind of a it's not natural because they did it when they excavated, but I've got kind of a ditch all the way around it that water flows, because to the far left is the wetland pond. So if I go farther out too, then I'm getting into that ditch even more, where I'm gonna have to do some major excavating and change that flow, and everything flows the way it should right now, I don't wanna get into that. So that's part of the reason too, that I should add to it.
Before you do any of the excavation work, make sure you call Scott in our office. And you don't need it, make sure you don't need a permit for it.
Well, and I'll be staying on that high spot, so there shouldn't be any excavation needed.
Oh, but you'd mentioned changing the drainage at some point.
If I had to go further, so it's actually okay. It's slow all the way down, it kind of U-shapes around here, and then down to the water here, so this is all high right through about here. Right here is a ditch that flows down into it, so if I go beyond this anymore than this, that's where I'm into the ditch. If I stay here, I'm not doing any excavating at all.
And it's a 16-foot sidewall on that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, to accommodate the motorhome. If that helps make sense on why I want to say from that 4 feet too.
I guess I'm struggling with the hardship of the situation. For the size of the lot, if he's at 60 feet, he's in compliance then, correct, Barry? 64?
Yep.
Puts him 160.
Puts him right at the number, so no garden shed, no nothing else, but right at the number.
Right at the numbers. And we've had plenty of discussions before about these subjects. And I look at it as if you've got a waterway, and I was reading in our handouts and the waterway and that kind of stuff, and looking at it, if you shorten it up by 4 feet, you're only getting out of your waterway a little bit. I don't understand by shortening it up by 4 feet down to 60, how that's gonna create any other landscape problems or issues, because all you're doing is, I know it's 8 foot on centers on poles and all that kind of stuff, but they can stick a 4-foot rafter in on the end. That's not impossible in construction. So this is one that I'm struggling with. We have lots of space, lots of area. Why are we putting a variance on for, too large of a shed? Even if it is only 160 feet, it is still a variance we're granting. And where's the hardship? If I could find a hardship, a strong reason to do it, but right now I'm not there, so you guys have to help me.
And then, so if I push it all the way flush, so I avoid that window going in the middle of it, I'm taking away from being able to put that door on the side. If I put the door on, so I have to loop around, then I'm adding driveways and culverts, and so right now go to the door on the side right there. There's a driveway kind of already, it's all gravel and packed, and so I've already kind of got a driveway there.
But looking at the way the drawing is, it's the shed in the front lays straight off of it, and then you're going beyond the shed by width. You shorten it up by 4 feet. What do you have to create with it? You're still leaving it connecting to your shed at the same space, same spot. Just shorten it up 4 feet, and we're compliant.
But then my garage door is good. Not gonna fit there.
Okay. Enter it in a different spot. I don't know. I'm just looking at what we're asking for in a variance, so I guess 2 other members yet. Convince me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at it too, and I struggled with 160 feet. I know talking and listening to Barry over the time, I don't know if 48 feet, if you'd still probably have to get a variance for 48, but there was no reason, I couldn't see why you wouldn't drop your width down to 38 by 64 or 36 by 64. And then you wouldn't have needed a variance if you went 36, but if we'd allowed 38, I don't know, but just to miss that window was kind of, I know what you're saying, you want to move it that way so your garage door off the
Right, I
driveway.
want to keep the door and then,
So you could narrow it a little bit and fall right in line with the square footage then.
The 4,000 is a hard number. And so we do have one spot with accessory structures in our ordinance that we have a policy that allows up to, it gets into the R1 district where the maximum single structure is 1,400 square feet, which is just a crappy number. And so we allow that standard construction to 1,440.
Okay.
But it's specific, the 1,440 is if you do, I can't remember the exact dimension, but a specific dimension. And we allow it because it's standard construction. 4 feet, 4-foot segments, both width and length, gets you to 1,440. And so we do allow an overage in that one case by policy, written policy actually, but not in any of our other accessory
So
structures.
this one wouldn't fall under that, going 38 by 64.
In this case, you
I
know,
think
a 4,000 square feet, I mean, there's any number, 50
48.
by 80 building, in this case, a 40 by 40 with a 40 by 60, I mean, it all works to even numbers, and so we don't apply it here.
I thought
Where the
that-
1,400 is kind of an odd number, how we came up with it when we wrote the ordinance, I don't know, but that doesn't work out, it ends up being what, 30 by 45. Get to 1,400 square feet, which is, we allow 36 by 40.
Okay.
The 1,440, that's what it
Cause I was
is.
gonna say,
In this case, it's a hard number, so
he could make it by 37 by 64, it's an odd number on your truss, but it would work without getting a variance, so I would be probably following Dan, I'd have a hard time giving a variance.
if you can get trusses this year.
Yeah, if you can get them even, then it'd be an oddball, but,
Brian told me he could get it done this year, and I worked with Brian Varner,
okay.
and that's where, and I don't know if he's got other reasons why, unfortunately. It took me almost a year to find a contractor who can come out and give me an estimate.
Sure.
So I'm kind of going by what he's telling me too. He's probably a better expert, might have a better reason for that. Unfortunately,
Well, 37 by 64, you'd be under.
right.
You'd be under and wouldn't need to come here for a variance. So,
Yeah.
it's 3 feet, but yeah, we can't really break the law for just the one. I understand it, so we'll pass it on to you.
Okay, does any of this sound logical? I mean,
No, it does.
Can you,
And like I said, I worked with Brian, and unfortunately, contractors are busy to even get one to come in, and if he's got a better reason, I don't know. I'm kind of following where he's guiding me on this piece of it. He knows what he needs for a door. He's looked at the land. He's been out there, and he doesn't want to dig it up. He wants to do all that. So, if there's another reason, unfortunately, I don't know it. That wouldn't work or would work, or if he's got a building reason.
so in a motion, if we were to change to that, to allow for that fitting on here,
Necessarily don't need it, I mean, if they
Right.
lower down,
Well, then
you
I
don't
can
need,
just-
you don't
don't
need
even
it.
need a
Yeah, you
motion.
You
can
don't even,
withdraw.
if you're gonna require that he meet the 4,000 square feet, the two options are to either deny it or allow him to withdraw the request, and he'll just redesign and submit.
I would say continue it to the June 18th meeting for him to reevaluate, and he can withdraw it during this month, can't he?
Oh, sure.
I mean, if,
Sure, all that is I send him a form that he'd have to sign.
yeah,
Or
I
he'd
mean,
come to the office and just sign it, whichever, but there's just a form he'd need to sign to request dismissal.
Yeah, so talking to your contractor, like you said, we don't have any idea where he's coming
Right.
from. See if this is okay with him, and then either give Barry a call and,
So the one question for the board would be, from a structural standpoint, you're gonna run into, well, it's gonna cost more to do this, because it's all possible. It's possible to do a 37-foot wide building. It just costs more because you have to now customize trusses and all those types of things. And so doing it that way, to me, it lends into, well, now you're entering into that economic end of it versus another end. So,
I guess with what Barry is saying, it would be I guess I can even make a motion for denial. I mean, that he needs to be in compliance at the 4,000 square feet.
Just give them the option
Give 'em-
to either dismiss or deny right now.
Yeah. So I guess it's up to you, if you want to dismiss it, or you want us to make a vote and we deny your request.
Well, just so I understand, this is my first time doing anything like that, then obviously. So if you deny, I talked to Brian, we can still just do the regular permit if everything works out that way?
You would, to do, whether you dismiss or deny, you're able to do up to 4,000 square feet. So you just have to redraw to make it 4,000 square feet, however you decide to do it. As long as it doesn't exceed 4,000 square feet, we're good. If they deny, generally speaking, denials, the only reason I ask the board for denial is if you want to challenge that, and the only place to challenge is in court. So they would deny it, they would approve findings at the next meeting, and then you would have the ability to then appeal that decision to district court. And so it's up to you.
I'm not looking for that kind of fight. This isn't break laws or get over
Right.
it. It's 160 square feet, looking at what Brian, so.
Go
So
with
if I
the
understand
4,000.
right, the thing would be to ask for
Dismissal?
dismissal and then talk to Brian, and make sure there's nothing that I'm missing that I need to add to this.
Well, at that point, there is no, you don't need to talk to Brian other than we need to redesign this to meet the 4,000 square feet. So.
So which one was it where if I talk to Brian, he has a good reason that I should really finish doing this?
You would need a continuation, but as I'd mentioned to the board, when it comes to construction like this, the only reason that it couldn't be done, the only justification then becomes, well, if you talk to Brian, it's because, well, it's gonna cost us more to redesign the trusses or do this or do that. That's an economic reason, which our board can't use as justification
Right,
for the
no, I
variance.
understand that.
So they've already said, well, we don't find justification in this size overage. And so if Brian comes back with something, then that's about what you have left is economics. Because it's strictly construction. Now, I don't know if there's something on the site, well, we've already talked about that, drainage and those other things, and so the board has already said, those justifications, we don't see it. So that's not a hardship or a practical difficulty. And so the only thing left then is the economic because of construction practices. Now, there again, if the board wants to entertain that, that's up to you. I'm just bringing up, this is what I see as well, if it's strictly for construction, well, that gets into value because, well, we have to redesign a wall or things like that. We have to change this is gonna cost more to remanufacture the truss to be 37 feet, that kind of thing. So I just wanted to bring that up so the board was aware that, well, that could be, it's your call, but it could be an economic reason, not an actual practical difficulty. Now, if the board, there again, it's all up to you what you want to do. I mean, we can still continue it, it's not a big deal.
Well, I guess it's up to you. Do you want to dismiss it, or do you want us?
Can I add one thing?
Yes, sir.
Dismissal doesn't go on the record of the parcel either, right?
Correct.
Or if you,
Denial gets recorded against the abstract of the property.
Because I'm also hearing that time crunch when Brian can get it done this year yet, which he says he can do because, as you know, cost, we gotta get the order in early. I mean, the more we continue it,
I heard the end of this month, which is next week, they're expecting another increase in lumber prices.
37-foot trusses shouldn't be that hard to get, or 36 would be easier, but.
And there could be any number of ways that this could be redone, it could be shifted, there's a number of things that can be done.
I think it's on him to make a decision, if he wants us to deny it, or if he just wants to dismiss it.
and listen, I'm just afraid to make a decision. Brian had a reason that I don't know. I'm not an expert at it.
Okay.
Well, if we continue it, you're gonna push it off for a whole nother month then.
But if Brian says there's nothing, then I can just fill out that form and just ask for this to be done and get.
And one thing I'd talk to Brian about is if it's strictly from a construction standpoint, then that's economic. If it's because the
And
trusses are
then
gonna
I'll
cross.
pull that right back and get
Yeah.
it redesigned.
Right.
So you want to
If he's got an
continue?
actual build, so that's why I'm kinda, I wanna make
That's fine,
sure I'm
yeah,
not doing
we're not
something
out anything by continuing it. I just wanted to bring up to the board that in this case, I haven't seen this often, but in this case, that's what it would end up being in from the way I can see it.
And you're probably completely right, I just,
No, that's
I
fine.
don't know, I'm not a contractor.
That way you at least can, if there is something else let me know, and we can talk through
I'm kind
it.
of predicting that I'll talk to Brian, and next week I'll come in and, with a new drawing and,
Okay.
and ask for a permit, then withdraw with Barry.
Okay, that sounds
It's kind of
good.
like, but just in case there's that one thing that he's like, no, I can't do it this way, I need, or this is why, and I missed it,
Okay.
I'll cover
I'll make
that.
a
Yep,
motion
that's
then
good.
to continue until the June 18th meeting.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Dan B.I.
John, aye.
Damn all I.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm guessing I probably won't see you based on the application, but.
You never know.
But thank you for your time.
But hustle,
thank you.
so he has time to think.
Oh, no, I'll know, I probably will know today. I'll probably know on my truck ride home when I Bluetooth them. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
This last one's a stick. This last one's a cast.
That's good to know. I read all these things on Monday, and it takes me a little bit to come back, you know?
I usually do the same thing, read them on Monday.
Yeah.
But then just before the meeting, I go through them all again.
I tried to, but yeah, this week I wasn't able to do that. It's just,
Yep, right up front.
Really? I got
Yes, you have, because we need to be able to hear you with the
I'm
microphone.
gonna listen to you guys.
Not anymore.
Your first name?
Okay. Lynn Crandall. Lynn.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this is a property in, this is the J.J. Ergen and Sons LLC request. This is a number of parcels in Clearwater Township. There's 12 different parcels in total that equal roughly 304 acres, with pieces lying on either side of County Road 75. And so the request, as submitted, now I've had discussions with Ms. Crandall about, you know, specifics of it, but the request as submitted is to use County Road 75 as a dividing line. In this case, the parcels, you know what, I should have had a slide in for that. Let me, the parcel, there is one parcel in particular that resides on both sides of County Road 75, and so it's contiguous in a sense, but it's also split by the county road. And so the request is to use County Road 75 to split that one specific parcel, but by doing that, road frontage and other things need to be owned in common and in groups, which all that was kind of referenced out in the staff report. Let me go to, because I do want to emphasize the one parcel. And so the original request, the strip that we're talking about, the center of the county road is not the edge of the property that is south and west of the county road. It's actually 75 feet further to the north. So the original request is to keep a strip on the north side of 75 that would attach to all the property on that side of the road, which, let me see, okay.
There we go.
So there's, let me turn off the, I have issues apparently today. I just need to go home. So the parcel lies on either side of the county road, and so the request was to use this black line, which is County Road 75, leave this strip that ends here with this, which then is connected to this, which then is connected to this, so, and then connected to this. And so there would be property here with the strip running up to here. The applicant's, or the property owner's house is up in here. And so the original request was to do this, and then this is owned as a separate strip, and they were talking to the owner of that, trying to buy that. So they would have a house that is now connected to all their other properties over here through this extended 75-foot strip. which I kind of have drawn out on the aerial plan. And so the property in blue would be connected to the house parcel through the purchase of the strip in front of the house and maintaining that yellow strip with the blue. And that would then allow them to, I believe they were looking at assessment reasons, doing it for assessment reasons. And so from a cleanup standpoint, it's much cleaner just to include the entire parcel. And so what we talked about is if that doesn't happen, well, at least then all of this is maintained and owned by here, which this 75 feet is all highway right-of-way. It's all easement. So it's not a usable functional portion of the property because it's all highway right-of-way. So yeah, that is kind of the request. The one thing with it would be is, the, sorry, I'm a bit choppy on this one, Mr. Chairman. Because of road frontage requirements, there are a number of parcels on the northeast side of the road that will all have to remain in common ownership to get the verified public road frontage. So right now, this parcel, that parcel, this parcel, and this parcel are all owned by the applicant, as well as this and that. So the applicant owns everything northeast of 75, between 75 and the river from here on up. And so in order for these parcels to maintain road frontage, they have to be owned with this. And that's one of the interesting things here. I think there's 5 different sections involved with these property ownership. So we can't do like a parcel combine and combine all the tax parcels together because they're in separate sections and the auditor treasurer won't do it. So there'll have to be orders requiring things be remained owned in common in order for them to maintain the public road frontage. So, we did receive approval from the township and also from the city. At least the city does not have any objections, provided the zoning classification does not change for either newly created parcels, which that's not this board. This board doesn't have that authority. The land usage does not change for either newly created parcel, which, provided they don't do anything outside of what the zoning district allows, that doesn't necessarily change anything. And the new lot lines are drawn in such a way that the northeast parcel will have dedicated access to a public road, is not landlocked. And so that's the one parcel here, that's why this parcel comes of utmost importance, is to provide the public road frontage for these other pieces that lie outside of that frontage. So that's where any type of administrative order would come in, tying certain portions of property together. That's what I have. Sorry. If you can get to all that, that was a little choppy.
Okay.
I'm a little bit ashamed of myself.
Me? From what I understand, the Clearwater town or city wants access to all that, and that's already in there.
Well, I don't know what the city of Clearwater's intentions are.
Yeah.
But this is within their transition area for potential annexation.
Okay.
So this is within it's within the orderly annexation area that has been established. The city is also in the process of adopting I believe it's an AUAR, which is urban area review type of thing, where it gives them zoning and some zoning jurisdiction or ability outside of the city proper. And so I don't know if that's all been approved yet or not. That's something beyond what I can do with this. This is just strictly the lot line adjustment. But the understanding is at some point that's likely going to be some type of a commercial or industrial property.
And but what we're being asked to do would not landlock any of this.
No.
Okay. That was pretty much.
And we're not getting into what we had last week or the last meeting where there's a special group in between what they want to do here?
As far as I know, no. But there again, as far as I know.
No, yeah. That little strip, I can't quite figure it out from is it on the north side of 75, or is it basically just a roadway?
That strip would be from the center of the road 75 feet to the northeast, and that is all actual right-of-way for County Road 75. It's not platted right-of-way, it's easement right-of-way, but it's all right-of-way County Road 75.
Yeah, so basically, that's all we wanted was to cut that piece of the north off. So the south is one entity and the, you know, not one, but you know what I mean? So you don't have that little strip there that nobody knows for sure what we can do with it.
Well, if the county has it as a right of way, you really can't do anything with it.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
But in the process, if for instance, this property becomes a commercial development, well, then you plat it all. You plat all 150 feet, 75 feet on each side of the road, and then it becomes a platted right-of-way that's included as part of any commercial development or commercial plat. That is one way to take care of it. The issue I see with not including it as with the property to the south is, okay, now it becomes something different, it's bisected, it doesn't, in and of itself, it does not touch the road frontage. And so now you have to maintain all of these other little smaller strips. So at some point, when the property northeast of the road gets sold or gets done with it, now what do you do with it? It now doesn't do anybody any good because you're not gonna plat or develop this and leave and also include this plat that doesn't even touch it, you know, this piece of property. So what do you do with it? Now it becomes this piece that's stuck out there that doesn't serve a function. So you know, from a staff standpoint, it's better off keeping that as a piece of the bigger parcel that's going to the south because it's directly connected to all of that. Even, yes, there's a right-of-way over the top of it right now, but at least it's directly connected to that.
So what benefit does it serve to do this then? If you're saying it served more benefit to leave it as is, right? Is that what you're saying?
So what I'm saying is, and there again, it's not, the choice is where you draw the dividing line. So this property right now is connected to this property. So this is all one PID. So this parcel is getting divided as part of this. The other ones are already there. They're already separate PIDs. This one has to be divided. And so we either use this line as the dividing line here, which puts this strip in ownership with this, and this, and then this, or you use this as your dividing line, and then this all stays with this. Right now, this strip is owned with this.
and see, that's really crazy because where that yellow line goes, those are all houses along that edge, so you don't really have access to that piece back there anyway. You know, I don't know how this happened, but we have a 57 acres that's on both sides of the road that's, there we go, why is that piece like that? You know, we're just asking for that piece to go that way and that whole thing to go that way.
When things were done a long time ago, there's been some things.
Yeah.
And honestly, there was a period of time where, you know, for us to be notified of divisions, we weren't. And so, I mean, things have, interdepartmental communication's gotten so much better, so now we actually have sign-offs when stuff get divided. So, well, they're not gonna accept it for recording until we sign it.
I can understand it from years ago when the farms were there, you know, but how I don't remember farms having on both sides of the road. You know, it was either you owned a farm on that side of 75 or, you know, and I knew all those farmers. So that's what we're asking for. The red to stay this way, the red to stay that way.
Right, and that's what makes the most sense is for all the red here to stay here and the red here to stay here. But the request is actually to keep this red with this.
That's what they originally wanted.
And that's what we have to go by is what the original request is, and the board can still approve it. So if they wanted it that way, I mean, it can still be done, but to me, it just seems to make more sense because this is part of it. This is all part of the property owned by this applicant that's all being part of a purchase.
Right.
So it makes the most sense to keep this with this and this and this and this, that with this.
And that's what they'd like to do.
And that's what we're being asked to approve.
Yes.
But that isn't what's being applied for.
That wasn't what was on the application.
They originally wanted to keep that little piece so that it connected, which it doesn't even connect to the farm. But now, since they've talked about this more and more, and they've decided that it's okay to go, that they want to keep that piece with the one to the south.
And then the one on the north side of 75 would all be connected with all of the property they
Yes.
have on the other
Yes,
side.
correct.
But that's not what we're talking about, right?
No,
Well, actually, it can be.
If that's what we asked for. But as it's written, it's not like that, right? It's,
The application, as the application was written, which is how we have to notify it, it was not written that way.
So if it was not notified that way, and the town board didn't look at it that way, I know the town board approved, I wasn't at the meeting. But does it need to go back to the town board to look at?
You're actually approving something that is
Not the town board hasn't even looked at it.
less than what the town board had approved.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily need, and
We
then
usually
it would have been
don't go
nice if
there.
the highway department might have chimed in and said, well, at some point, we're gonna plat all this right away and take ownership of it. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
And then it really doesn't matter. And I think eventually, at some point in whatever future, it's probably a likely scenario, but as of right now, it's not the case. And there again, it does get just a little bit interesting too, because no matter which way you do this, there are little strips. And so it's kind of, where do you, in this case, I think it's best to leave the one the way it is, and then the other one, change it, because there's actually a strip, after this ends, this strip is actually owned by the frontage for this one. And so my thought was just here, from this point, everything southeast of this line all goes with it. Otherwise, you would, if you want to clean it and not have this strip, it'd still be a strip, and now it'd be here, so you're actually creating another parcel. So just do it within what the existing parcel boundaries are. So if this is what you wanted to do,
better have notes.
do it here. So we're not creating additional parcels as part of this.
And you're gonna make this motion?
I think we do it according to a site plan that
Yes.
Gary's gonna draw.
Yes.
There you go.
So how does those houses that are along there not end up landlocked? If there's, obviously each one of those houses are a different owner, and their driveway goes to 75, how are they not landlocked with this strip?
Because the actual easement right-of-way for the highway abuts their property line as part of the development. So although they're crossing somebody else's property, they're doing it within the public right-of-way. And so the property just has to touch the right-of-way. Once the right-of-way is touched, those owners now have access to the public road right-of-way. So they don't have to own to the center of the road to have access to the road, they just have to own to the right-of-way of the highway. Which I've confirmed that the highway right-of-way here it's 150 feet, it's 75 feet on either side of the center line of the highway.
Following up with what Bob is saying, are we sure every one of those surveys and those property lines do touch on all of those properties?
I believe there's a right-of-way plat that specifies that out, but I'd have to look.
That would be
Yeah, that'd be a
my
concern.
concern, that they're 2 feet short and all of a sudden somebody gets,
Well, then,
blocked off
but the
crossways.
the problem is no matter which way you go about it with this division, that's still gonna be the case. And so, and actually, you're making it more confusing because now that right-of-way is kind of split in half with different ownership, at least if it's used, if that northern yellow line is used, at least it's consistent ownership all the way through.
So does that have to be noted to be grandfathered in? If it
No,
doesn't-
because that's for courts to deal with prescriptive easements and those types of things. That's not for the boards. Because what if there is that gap? This board has no authority to fix it.
do anything, right?
Right. And so that might be the case, but there's really nothing we can do about it at this point. It just is what it is. It's an existing condition, an existing situation.
And those people can widen their driveways, they can tar them,
Whatever the highway department says they can do with them.
Okay, so that doesn't have to go to the property owner for permission.
No, it's within that highway right, my understanding, and there again,
Okay,
I'm not a right-of-way expert by any stretch, but my understanding is that would all be under the purview of the highway department because they own the right-of-way.
That would be a concern though,
They own
if
the
the
easement.
owner of that strip, if all of a sudden you say you want 4-car wide in their strip.
But there again, it's the property owner, it's the public right-of-way. Same thing with the township right-of-way. You know, you want to put something in the ditch, the property owner can't stop you. Because it's, you know, it's your right-of-way. You own the right-of-way to do whatever the right-of-way easement says you can do. So it's the same situation here. The property owner doesn't, if the highway department says, yes, you can do this with your driveway, property owner can't deny them that ability because the highway department approved it. Because they actually own the right-of-way rights over it. That's my understanding of it. I'm not by any means a right-of-way
Can I
expert.
add one more question? So you, working for the county, you feel that's a good flow for what you see in the
Well,
future?
what do you do in this situation? I'm just trying to look at the best resolution for a situation that isn't optimal to start with. We're dealing with old lots. And to me, creating additional strips with additional ownerships doesn't make it any cleaner. It probably makes it a little dirtier if at some point anything happens to here. And again, we're looking at something right outside the city. It's likely to happen. I mean, there's actually, that bigger lot where you can kind of see the trails come through, that's actually city-owned property. So that this property abuts city property, which means it's in the annexation area. At some point, it's gonna get annexed.
Sure.
And so let's make it as clean as we can. And that way, all that property then gets annexed. You don't end up with this 75-foot strip that's still sitting in township jurisdiction. It's that entire right-of-way is now either in the township or in the city. So we don't end up with these little gaps and stuff. It makes it clean.
That clears it for me.
There again, that's just my opinion. This one's it's certainly interesting because of the dynamics and how this whole property lays out. But that's my opinion of it. It's cleaner to keep these chunks together as best we can rather than creating another strip. And it sounds like they're more than willing to accept that. So, but there again, if the board says, well, no, we want to give them that opportunity to have the strip, well, that's up to you. I'm just giving what I see with this. I think it makes their property more difficult to deal with if then they want to then sell the farm site or the house site. Now what? Now you have all these little pieces of strips that are owned to it. Now what is it there for? It's not, now we want to sell it back to them because we don't want it, you know? So what do you do with it? This way, it's all gone. You have the house here and the rest of the property over here. It's all good. Everything has frontage, everything has what it needs. And yes, I can do it if you just made a motion to approve as per site plan exhibit A. I don't have a marker with me, but I'll make a line. What I'll do is as per site plan exhibit A according to line A, which I would do line A as this. That's where line A would be. I would not include this portion in line A. This portion will still be maintained in ownership of this. I drew it this way because that was how the request was written. But I would actually make the dividing line here.
At the section line.
Yep. And then this is a strip that's owned with this. And so I'll extend the line down to where there's a property down here that has frontage. I'll include the line all the way down. That portion owned by J.J. Ergen and Sons, south and west of line A, be divided. That way we cover everything. There's a specific line. This is how it has to be.
So will it be where that yellow line is? No, it goes up to
Yes.
the red, okay.
It'll be, the one that bright yellow line, that will be line A. That will be the vast majority of what we're talking about, but it still includes this.
Yes.
Because these are all owned in common.
Right.
I'll start line A up there, come to here, go up, go down to here, come over, and then extend this down to
And
where
go-
their property no longer, where they no
Okay.
longer own.
So it'll go to with the south?
Yep.
With the south, okay.
That work for you?
That would work, yes. That would work.
Who wants to tackle this one?
Approve as per site plan,
Just say yes.
line A,
trying to
or
get-
exhibit A, according to the
Yellow line.
line noted, line A. So exhibit A, line A.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye. Oh, Dan Vick, aye.
John, aye.
And all I.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that one's interesting.
Different one.
Now we all know what's.
I don't recall ever seeing one like that.
Well, I don't know why, like you said, why does county not own that, or whatever, who owns that part, 75? So that'll go over and we can, okay, so now, okay, so.
We
when
want this subject to administrative order. I guess we didn't talk about that. To complete,
Oh, we still need to, have that site visit.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll make a motion, subject to administrative order.
Okay.
That this is
So
all
we-
recorded, so I'll make that motion, that it's all correct.
We'll need a legal descriptions for everything on the northeast and everything on the southwest. So just legal descriptions for those two. You can talk with Terry or have Terry talk with the surveyor or myself saying, okay, this is what we need. We just need the legal descriptions. We don't need a full survey of these, but we will need legal descriptions. So a title company can draw that
and you'll
up
need
too.
it too for transfers and.
Sorry.
Yes, but
Yep,
could
so-
a title company do that, run
Yeah.
that up? Okay, so
Title or
you'll send,
surveyor, yeah.
you'll send that over then?
We'll provide you with the site plan that he's going to have for the record.
Yep.
We'll provide that to you. And
I
then
just
that's
want to
what
mark
you
it
can
up
give your
back in
title
the office
company
because my
or
pen doesn't write
surveyor.
on these.
Okay, that's perfect.
Is there a second for my motion?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Ben?
Second.
Okay.
Do you need a
All
roll
in
call?
favor?
Dan Vick, aye.
John, aye.
And all I.
Bye-bye.
We done?
Yep, now we're done.
Thank you.
you.
Site inspection date, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Happy weekend.
Yes, you too.
Thanks.
I'm pretty much open to you guys as,
I'm pretty well open too right now.
Are you all planted?
Yeah, got done Wednesday. So, decasseling will start in.
Good timing for the rain. It's supposed to warm up next week, 80s, I see.
Well, what do you want to do,
The only date, I'm gone,
June 8th?
that's meeting. Oh, wait. I'm
no,
in April.
18th is the
Yep,
meeting.
yep, I was
What
on
date?
April.
What's the day? What day is that? Is that a?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? I'll be back on the 8th. I'm gone well, actually, I'll be back. I'll be back for the 7th. So I'm good for a Tuesday the 8th.
Bob?
That's fine with me.
I think.
Tuesday, the
I think I'm good, yeah,
8th.
as far as I know.
So what time do
Yes.
you guys want to meet?
I'll try to get the van.
I'd like to do it in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. You meet here right at 8, be on the site.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's just outside of town. You can be on the site by 8:15. No problem.
Okay. We need a motion?
I'll make a motion for a site inspection on the 8th of June at 8 AM out front here.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 What?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Geez, I'm in this motion seat and I don't get to make it. All right, I'll second it though.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Well, that's pretty quick, Dan.
You got the recording shut off, Terry?
Yes, I do.
I'll come back.